starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Christine Westerlin here from the Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies. So happy that you are joining us today for our collaboration webinar with DCEO and IACAA. And this webinar features Donna Henry, and she will be discussing navigating TAPs and QIPs, or as I call them, tips and QIPs, but I know they're TAPs and QIPs. So I think this is a very relevant webinar. I know that many of you or all of you are being monitored on your use of the organizational standards. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what all of this means. As you know, on an IACAA webinar, this webinar is being recorded, and we will make it available to all registrants following the conclusion of this webinar. It will be in a Dropbox file, so hopefully that will work out well for you. And just to refer you to your dashboard that you have when you registered for, or that you received when you logged into this webinar, that please use that to ask questions. I will, in just a couple of seconds, turn the presentation over to Donna Henry. But I will be monitoring for questions, and we'll try to get those questions fit in whenever I can. So again, all of you are in silent mode, but again, use that I think there's a button that you click to ask those questions, and we'll get to those as we go. So without further ado, I'm going to change presenters, and Donna Henry, it is yours. And there'll be a slight delay here when Donna's screen will show up. And Donna, I'm seeing looks like your inbox here.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
I'm in.
Excellent.
Okay, good morning, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, I am Donna Henry, and I am the CSBG Assistant Program Manager. I'd like to take this time to thank you guys for attending and joining in this webinar. As you think of questions, please do not hesitate to ask, and if I don't have the answer, we will get back with you in regards. But all of that being said, let's get started. First question, what are TAPs and QIPs? How do we view them, and why and how do we use them? A TAP is a technical assistance plan. It should not be viewed as punitive. A TAP allows us collectively to focus on the specific issues of the eligible entity agency. A TAP provides both the agency and the state with a tool which assists with the tracking of correcting the identified deficiencies. TAPs are required by the CSBG Act and reinforced by IM 116. And I'll tell you a little bit about IM 116 in a few minutes. Quality Improvement Plan. A QIP should be considered a punitive action. QIPs are utilized to address issues that have been previously identified in the TAP, and progress toward compliance has stalled. Deficiencies that involve evidence of fraudulent report or use of fund, and or evidence of criminal wrongdoing, and presents a risk requiring immediate action. QIPs are also required by CSBG Act and reinforced by IM 116. Let me take a few minutes to explain to you the IM 116. I'm going to read from the actual information memorandum. This information memorandum provides background on statutory and regulatory requirements for terminating organizational eligibility or otherwise reducing the share of funding allocated to any CSBG eligible entity. A step-by-step description is provided outlining necessary actions and considerations for terminating or reducing funds to a CSBG eligible entity for cause. And we'll get a little bit into that as we go through the slide. What is the difference between T and TA offered by grant managers and a TAP? Remember, the state's goal is to work with the agency to address and resolve any deficiencies as quickly as possible. That being said, a TAP may not be appropriate when grant managers provide TNTA that is not formalized, when grant managers work with the agencies proactively to provide TNTA to prevent deficiencies from being identified during the official monitoring review, and when grant managers work with the agencies during the official monitoring review to correct deficiencies prior to submittal of the final monitoring report. Also, when deficiencies that are identified, which an agency has the expertise and skills available within the organization to resolve timely without assistance from the state. Remember, communication is key. When all of the above are not possible, then a TAP is created. Can an agency be placed on a QIP without having a TAP? Yes, but the general rule of order is as follows. Informal TNTA offered by grant managers and/or the OCA accountant. A TAP is developed based on documented monitoring deficiencies. A QIP is developed based on lack of responsiveness to correct deficiencies on the TAP. There may be times when a QIP versus a TAP is more appropriate. Examples are when deficiencies which have been identified are corrected in a previous TAP, but the agency has failed to institute the corrective action. If there are multiple widespreads and/or repeated deficiencies that cannot feasibly be addressed through technical assistance, and/or any deficiencies that involve evidence of fraudulent reporting or use of funds or other evidence of criminal wrongdoing. TAPs are triggered by monitoring findings. And what is considered monitoring? Monitoring includes reviewing of quarterly reports, organizational standards monitoring, desktop monitoring through STARS, and on-site programmatic and fiscal monitoring. When will the state begin to implement the TAP QIP process? The TAP QIP process has always been a requirement of the CSBG Act. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Information Memorandum 116, dated December 4, 2009, revised April 2, 2010, formalized this process. Memorandum 16 provides the state with the statutory requirements, a series of 10 steps in order to ensure that all key requirements are documented. The state has utilized both TAPs and QIPs previously to assist agencies with compliance. And when we talk about the TAPs, you probably recognize it as corrective action when we're out there monitoring, follow-up through with your quarterly reports and so on. So we're just formalizing it with the official name, which is TAPs. Due to increased accountability and transparency, the state opted to formalize this new approach. Beginning with the 2018 organizational standards monitoring, state will begin utilizing the new approach. So what is your question? What is the new approach being utilized? Upon completion of the 2018 organizational standards monitoring review, all identified deficiencies will be placed on a draft TAP template. This template is going to be produced in the STAR system. Grant managers and CSBG program manager staff will review the draft template and remove any deficiencies that do not meet the TAP requirements. Grant managers and CSBG program management staff will work together in identifying reasonable timeframes for each deficiency to be corrected. The grant managers will share the final TAP with the agency and review each deficiency at the timeframes associated with each action item. The agency will be given the opportunity to request timeframes be adjusted. The grant manager and the agency will work together to identify the best technical assistance resources for each action item. The agency will begin the work to correct and resolve the identified deficiencies. The agency will be required to report regularly on the progress being made to the grants managers. The reporting schedule will be determined based on the deficiencies, but be no less than quarterly. Again, communication is key. As deficiencies are addressed and resolved, they will be marked complete and resolved from the active TAP. If additional deficiencies are identified during subsequent monitoring, they will be added to the TAP in the same manner as previously described. Since each monitoring can change the TAP, there is not a standard timeline. Some agencies may be on a TAP and correct the deficiencies in a relatively short period of time, while other agencies may need to be on a TAP for a longer period of time. TAPs are not punitive. TAPs are living documents that will change. TAPs are an opportunity for improvement. When does a TAP become a QIP? Well, successful TAPs will never become a QIP. At what point is a TAP considered not working? A TAP is considered not working when an agency stops working with the state on correcting identified deficiencies. The agency does not meet the identified negotiated deadlines, and the agency becomes non-responsive to requests from the state for progress reports. When an agency repeatedly corrects a deficiency only for it to continue to show back up as a deficiency in future monitoring due to the lack of follow-up on the entity's part. When the number of deficiencies continue to grow with each monitoring to the point that it is determined that deficiencies are too multiple and widespread to feasibly be addressed through technical assistance. And when a deficiency involves evidence of fraudulent reporting or use of funds or other evidence of criminal wrongdoing. Remember, the state's goal is to never have an agency on a QIP. Communication is key. In the same manner that we ask the agencies to communicate with us regarding any concerns and issues, we are also required to communicate with HHS OCS to discuss the status of the network and concerns and/or issues that we may currently be addressing. Collectively, we can accomplish anything. Are there any questions at this time?
Donna, I have not seen any questions come in. If I can make just a couple of comments, for those of you who are interested in looking at the information memorandums, all of the CSBG information memorandums, you can find those on the OCS website. Actually, I have found it actually quite easy just to go to our good friend Google and type in CSBG information memorandum, and you can find them all actually that way without having to sort through the OCS website. The other thing that, and Donna, I'm gonna suggest this, and maybe you have a comment or two on this, but probably a good individual to have at your agency to kind of, working through, perhaps there is, a TAP in the that's looming, is to have your Roma professional who is on staff, whether it's a trainer or an implementer, to really kind of be a part of that process. What are your thoughts on that, Donna?
I would agree with you, Christine, and I think this is a great segue in to talk a little bit about the Roma Train the Trainer that's coming up in November. We are looking for the agencies that do not currently have a Roma trainer and or Roma implementer to please sign up for the class.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do. And just to describe this process, the Roma Train the Trainer, what happens, it's a 3-day training. We have 2 master Roma trainers that come in from outside of Illinois. They will be here in Springfield and will walk the class through the Roma curriculum, and then each individual in the class then gets a chance to present that curriculum back, and then there's some assessments and some evaluation taking place. And I think then once we've completed the classroom training, and then you have to present all the units or modules, I should say, in the Roma curriculum in another setting. It could be to your staff. It could be, you could do it in collaboration with another Roma trainer candidate, and then I'm the field evaluator, and I would come in and evaluate how it is that you're doing, and then make a recommendation for you to then receive the Roma training credential. The cost is $995. You do have to register through the Roma peer-to-peer website. Those dates are, and I'll probably get these wrong, but I think I've got them right on my calendar, November 6th, 7th, and 8th, and it will be here at IACAA. And we're also hoping to have a Roma implementer training fairly closely to that one. I just have not yet had the opportunity to schedule that. If you're more anxious to become an implementer, there are implementer classes going on across the country. And you could always find those locations and that information on the Roma peer-to-peer website. If any of you are willing to come to Jefferson City on August 1st, I'll be doing a Roma implementer training in Jefferson City. So, you can come share the Illinois love with us over in Missouri. So, Donna, any final thoughts to share?
No, I mean, I continue to say communication is key, and I think that is important that we continue to communicate with each other in order to try to eliminate and or reduce these any deficiencies that we may have.
Absolutely. That's a great closing thought, that communication is always the key to solve any issue that comes in front of us, and even maybe if you begin to see something that's emerging, start that communication immediately. Don't hold on to it and wait for it to go away, because it does need to be discussed. So Donna, if you want to switch the screen back to me, then we'll close this out. Okay. All right. So I want to also tell you that we have switched around some of the dates, and so we're skipping August. And the reason we're skipping August is because we hope that everybody's out in Denver at the Community Action Partnerships Conference. It's actually, I believe, that last week, but there's always a lot of work that needs to be done prior to everybody getting a chance to be out of the office to attend that conference. I know that we have 13 CCAPs from Illinois that will be receiving their certification at that conference, and so that's always really exciting, and we really want to congratulate them for their hard work. So you'll see on September 26th, 2:30 in the afternoon, there will be a customer outreach and really kind of looking at good practices. The presenters are going to be DCEO, and I think there's going to be some special guests coming in for that. Correct, Donna?
Yes, we're going to be reaching out to the network to assist us in presenting.
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this. I think this should be a really good session. And again, customer outreach is something that I think that we all do. We take different approaches, and I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the work that we do. So that ends the webinar. Donna, thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine.
And I want to thank everybody for tuning in for the webinar. Again, a recording of this will be made available to you. And if Donna, if you would be willing to share your slides, I would be, because I know I'll get some requests for those.
Okay, sure.
So if you could do that, and we'll make sure that we get this out to everybody. So thank you all for attending. Again, thank you, Donna, and we will see you all soon. Take care. And I'll end this webinar for everybody.